Should COVID-19 mask mandates be reinstated?
I guess ultimately it's up to the government, but also some people feel more secure if they have the mask, and also too, it depends on their health. They know themselves best. If they feel the most vulnerable and they want to continue wearing them, that's fine. I don't as much, but if the risk went up, I might reconsider that.
That's a tough question because I know so many people hate the masks, but I feel like it's like cold and flu season anyway, so it's not a terrible idea to bring it back. But I mean, if you give the people the option, more than half the people aren't going to wear it anyway, so I guess you kind of have to reinstate it. But I don't know if that's even possible anymore because people have gone so far away from wearing masks that I don't know if anybody will really comply. But I don't think it's a bad idea.
I think that if it is recommended that they come back, that I would go with that. I trust our government's COVID policies, and I think it's based on medicine. So yes, I would.
For the best of my understanding right now, probably not. Because what I think is that if we get it, and I didn't get COVID yet, is that you can get through it, and that life goes on. And looking back, we missed a lot, but we saved a lot of lives. So that was necessary at the time. And now it seems that there aren't a lot of very, very serious cases coming out of COVID, and therefore I'm not sure. I feel that we don't need a mandate at this time.
I think science, like anything else, is what we must use to guide our decision making. I think early on in the pandemic, we had limited information, and the health agencies, provincially and nationally, had to make some pretty dramatic steps. And I think ultimately, we potentially could have done a better job of looking at the science and the data and adjusting things to both increase and decrease our restrictions. But that sometimes is tough at a population level to try and do that. People tend to cut corners if there's not a mandate. But that being said, we have to also respect people's civil liberties. And so I think there's that friction point in a democracy where, unlike China and other countries, we have to be looking at when are we impinging upon the rights and freedoms of the individual, but also to what extent is every individual their brother's keeper and sister's keeper?
I think it's important.
Why?
Because we still need to be careful, especially in public places, at concerts, on the bus, in stores.
I do not. I think that if you want to wear a mask to protect yourself, obviously you should be able to, but I don't think that everybody should be forced to if you don't want to.
No, I do not think it should be reinstated. I think those who are at risk should protect themselves, but otherwise, I think it's time people have to move on.
I think they should, only because you could be carrying the illness and not know it and spread it to people that have health issues. So, and I have a dad that's in a nursing home, and my mom just passed in a nursing home. So I think we got to protect our people that are more vulnerable to getting this disease.
I believe that if you are a little bit sick, there's nothing wrong with wearing a mask. If you're going to eliminate even a cold or flu from the general population, why not? But it's very important for our mental well-being, for us to be social creatures, but to be smart about it.
I think they certainly should be done where people who are qualified to know the best effect is. And if that's schools, that's that group. I don't think mandating it right across the board is it's going to cause more difficulty. But there are a lot of places, individual businesses, there's still places in town, there's 2 on Spring Garden Road that require masks when you walk indoors. So, and that's perfectly reasonable. I have a mask right here.
I think they should be kind of reinstated maybe on like on a rolling basis, as if cases start rising again, maybe hospitals are starting to get overwhelmed, then maybe you start using that tool, right? But I mean, like I personally wouldn't mind it, but I think a lot of people are burnt out of mask mandates, so maybe kind of using it as a tool when you really, really need to do so instead of using it as a blanket kind of tool that we used in the past.
I think that there's like 2 ways to answer the question. I think that in some ways, like, I feel like it should be up to your own discretion. Like, if you feel like you want to wear one, then definitely wear one. But I think if someone's wearing them, they shouldn't face any ridicule or anything for wearing one. So I think it's more like subjective to what you want to do, kind of.
So, and I think also it should really be taken into consideration how the numbers are increasing and how like health professionals are taking into account like how the numbers are rising per capita and like amount of people in each city. As of now, to be honest with you, I'm gonna be totally honest, I don't know the exact number of cases. I know they started to rise a little bit again recently, but I think in terms of that, if cases rise to a certain extent as they were previously during mask mandates, I absolutely think it should be reinstated.
Yeah,
but
if it gets to the point where it was,
exactly.
it definitely should
Yeah.
be. 'Cause
Yes.
they were helpful when we had to wear them, so I think if it gets to that point again, then that's not a bad idea.
Yes.
Well, yes. On one side, I would say yes to prevent getting worse. And especially if you're around people who are more sensitive because they're like immunosufficient and all that stuff, just as a prevention way, yes, it should be reinstated. But, it should mandatory if it's sure you're going to be in contact with people who are more vulnerable. If not, it should be up to everybody's conscience to do so or not.